What's up, world? It's your boy Tommy Mav, and I saw a video yesterday that really annoyed me, so I wanted to do a rebuttal to it. It's called Facts Are Racist. The reason why I chose to do a rebuttal to this is because it's funny that in a video where you're saying that people are saying that facts are racist, you're not even considering the fact that the facts that you are using could be construed as being racist, because they are all interpretive facts, and they are all facts that you choose to use without context, and facts that you choose to cherry pick, and other facts that you choose to ignore. So yes, facts can be racist if they are presented in a racist fashion. So if I say, hey guy, you are going to stab me, and then they look at me and say that's racist, and then I turn back to them and say, hey, well, yeah, well, you know that majority of people who kill people are black people, so I'm not racist. No, you're still racist. You're just using facts to back up your racism. So that statement is it can be, it's actually someone could have a point in saying that facts are racist. So I find that kind of ironic that the person writing obviously in jest and sarcastically that facts are racist is kind of missing the point that facts can be racist if used in a racist fashion. I mean, when you look back through history, there have been a lot of instances of white people being racist. So therefore, I could use that fact to say that I have a right in believing that white people are racist. That's stupid. No, facts can be racist if they're used in a race. Facts are empty. The intention is like a gun. The gun is not a killer. The person pulling the trigger is. And facts are by themselves not racist, but when facts are used, they can be racist. It's almost like saying a gun, guns are deadly. It's like, yeah, they can be if they're used to kill someone. But if they're, you know, if you have a gun, it's not. If I walk up and touch a gun, I'm not gonna die. Yeah, but anyway, the reason why I chose to make this video mostly is because I can't believe a lot of things the guy said in the video under the guise of being open-minded. Because though I am not one of these big Black Lives Matter, one of these big guys who try to walk around and see racism and everything, I try to be as open. Sorry, I got a bit of a cold. I try to be as open-minded as possible in certain instances. I mean, you can look at a lot of my videos. I'm probably as middle of the road on a lot of things as you can get. But when someone speaks and they say things under the mindset that what they're saying is somehow making them smarter than everyone else, and saying, "Oh, you're ignorant," and people do this a lot with religion. They do this a lot with politics. They amplify the narrative that they want by using facts that support that, and then they minimize the facts that they believe go against it, or they just all straight out don't take the facts that go against what they're saying. But anyways, I'm going to go through this video and I'm going to try to break it down and say, I'm not saying he's wrong about everything he says. To be totally honest, I can't even remember everything he says. I just know there was a bunch of facts in here that needed context to them. And I also feel as if some of the facts that he chose to use were intentionally vague. And some of his facts were, he had points to them, but the point I'm trying to get at is you can't use, I mean, it's a double-edged sword, because you can't use the short-sightedness of others to try and say, you know, and try to get your point across when there is a bit of you being short-sighted. There's a bit of you only looking at one side, and like I said, it's done throughout history. But anyways, let me get into it before I talk everybody to death.
Facts are racist things. I mean, facts are racist things. So at the time of this video, the Alton Sterling shooting has been controversial, been going on for several days. Right now, the Castillo shooting happened. We don't know a lot about it, so I can't comment on that a ton. And that's the entire point of this video. When the Sterling shooting happened, I tweeted out, actually a series of tweets, that we should wait for the facts to come in before we rush to judgment. I've always done that when these situations occur, and it was met with outrage. And that
this is one of the first things I had a problem with him saying. First of all, that's extremely hard to believe that you didn't rush to judgment in that situation. I'm pretty sure you did just rush to judgment. You just didn't have any facts that would support your rushing to judgment, because the only thing that was out was a video of a black man being shot, and I'm guessing you're not generally on the side of the black guy getting shot, so it would be advantageous to your argument to wait until the facts came out, because generally when you wait until the facts come out, you get dumbass facts like the guy had a criminal record, that the guy once went to juvie and got suspended, smoked weed in a photo he picked. You know, a whole bunch of stuff that has absolutely nothing to do with whether or not he did it. So you're saying that you waited on judgment in that situation. I would expect you to, because you have nothing to support your argument yet. They have something to support their argument. They have a guy who is being held down, who is being shot. And I'm pretty sure you have no emotion. You have no bag. You have no horse in the argument. You're just somebody who it's okay to be objective. I mean, it's seen as more rational that you would be objective, because there's no strong emotion in it for you. But if you're a person who has been in situations like that, someone who like me and others who have been in situations where they were harassed by police officers, we have totally different opinion. Now, I look at majority of police officers and I don't think that they're bad. I think a small percentage of them are bad. I think that it's totally overblown, that they try to put out this narrative that these cops are going around killing black people, and that there's this huge thing that needs to change. And when you look at it, and I don't know how many of them don't get caught, but I know that for a fact that that 10 or 11 shootings a year that are publicized does not mean there's an epidemic of cops killing black people. Now, is there a lot of black people who are harassed by police officers? Of course, because criminals usually fit the description of black people. I can be logical, but I can be logical in that argument, but that doesn't make it any easier for me. And it does, and I don't have a right to tell someone whose life is inconvenienced by a situation, oh, well, it's logical because black people commit more crimes, that it's okay that police harass black people. It's all right for racists to call black people niggers because guys do it in rap music. No, both of them are stupid. That doesn't make your argument. And the same thing here. I have a real hard time with believing that he actually waited on judgment. I don't think he waited on judgment, because I don't think anybody waits to judge. We may wait to disclose what our position is, but we don't wait to judge. I guarantee you this guy, from the moment he saw it, was already preparing a counter argument to what he saw. I guarantee you he probably went on a blitz trying to find any and everything he can find to exonerate the police officers. And I guarantee you he did not spend much time on finding anything that went against what the police officers did. I mean that went to convict the police officers for what they did. Because that's what we all do. Everybody has a mindset of what they think happened, and then they go and find facts that corroborate what their previously held beliefs, and that's what happens. I have a hard time believing anybody goes into a situation like that, especially a high argumentative position like the Black Lives Matter versus the police brutality argument. Majority of people are annoyed at that situation, but white people really don't have frustration outside of saying black people complain too much. But anyways, my point is, I have a hard time believing he didn't rush the.
That's what's such a problem here, because simply saying, hey, let's wait, because both sides have ended up with egg on their face at some point in time when facts have changed. My only purpose here is to say, let's wait for information, and that is met as more controversial than calling this a public lynching and demanding for the execution of police officers.
To some. That's what you left out. That is a better alternative. To some. There are idiots in everything. There are going to be idiots who they're idiots right now who probably said the guy deserved it. I don't see you publicizing them. So my problem with that statement is that it goes without context. You can't say, oh, as if the majority of people are sitting up there angry at you because you said let the facts come out. I guarantee you the majority of people didn't even care about your comment. They probably don't even know about your comment, nor do they even care if they saw it. They probably just like, yeah, okay, what we do. I tend to think that when the comments come out, it's gonna be a lot about stuff that ain't got nothing to do with it. But yeah, we should wait for the facts to come out. There are a lot of Black Lives Matter people saying we should wait for the facts to come out in both cases. So your narrative that somehow a group of people are saying that it's more rational to jump to the conclusion that the cops are all bad and that the cops are just that the cop was just like, I'm gonna go shoot a black person is very ill-stated and very irresponsibly stated. You can't say that because you didn't talk to the majority of people that you're criticizing. So for you to go on there and act as if there's this narrative, and also when you have a large group of people who listen to you and take in your opinion, they're probably hearing you and they're getting angry at the mindset of a lot of over a mindset that a lot of people that you're criticizing may not have. So for you to sit up there and irresponsibly say, oh, you know, the majority of these guys say that it's more rational to do this. No, that's not. What you need is context. No, the idiots who responded to you thought it was that way. And to just blanket a whole group of people against police brutality doesn't necessarily mean that they believe every time a gun video comes out, they should just condemn the cops without a trial. That's irresponsible. That's irresponsibly.
Right away, the Castillo shooting, we don't know exactly what happened. If what I'm reading is true, he notified the officer that he was legally carrying a firearm and he was following his orders and was shot, complying. That's a huge problem. I hope that officer is prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. If that's the case, with Sterling, we have a little bit more information. Now, yes, it's true that Sterling was a convicted sex offender. Yes.
To those of you who may not know, if you watch and you understand journalism, what he did right there is a journalist tactic, which enables assumptions to be had on what you say without you actually being the one to have said it, right? So if I say the facts, so I have just blanketed you and I've opened your mind up by saying the facts. So therefore your mind is open to hearing a fact, right? So you're listening and perks your ears when you hear someone say the facts have come out, right? So you don't think logically, you just start thinking about, okay, what he next said, the next words he's gonna say are gonna be very important, right? So he says, oh, it now comes out that he was a sex offender. Now, I don't really remember. I think he's going to go on to say that that's not really pertinent. But in him stating it as the first fact, it makes it the most crucial thing that you hear from his mouth going forward. So you've already tainted the reputation of the guy without actually stating, look, this guy was a molester. This guy was this. First of all, at the time, let's put some context in this whole molester thing, just for point. And I'm not saying I'm not defending. This is one thing I want very clear, right? I am not defending Black Lives Matter. I am not a fan of Black Lives Matter. I am not defending people who jump to the assumption that you should go out and try to hurt police officers. I am not for people who keep perpetuating the myth that that every police officer, that keep putting it in a situation where they believe like every single situation means that it's time to go to war with police officers. I'm not one of those people. I am one of those people who believe that, yes, in this country, there is a lot of police brutality. Mostly the blacks. Because we are the ones in the lower class. We are the least likely to go and tell and seek help. We're the least likely to go to higher ups in the police office, in these police offices, because we generally don't deal with police, and we generally don't have relationship with police. So it's easier to do things to black people because they tend to not tell. I mean, a lot of people work with, have had black customers and worked in jobs where you dealt with black people. They tend to never get the full. They never fully take advantage of their member services because they feel as if they're second-class citizens. It's like if I work at Burger King and I walk in there and you see it. When a white person walks in, especially an older middle class looking white person, when they come in, majority of people they perk up because they understand these people will tell on you and try to get you fired for anything. So even though a lot of them are like that, there's a good percentage of them who are probably not like that. But the belief is that they will. So immediately they remember everything they're supposed to do and they act the way that they're supposed to act. I'm a black man, so I notice the difference. When I walk in, and I'm not talking about white people, I'm talking about black people. When you go when black people are the service people, you go in there and you'll talk to a black person who sees another black person. They won't say hi to you. They won't use courtesy. They act as if, and they do this a lot to young people too. But mostly, if you're talking about across the demographics, it's male, female, age not taken account. It's usually if you're black. Other black people and other people, but mostly I see it with black people, other black people. Like if you go to certain places, when I deal with white people, they tend to be respectful. They tend to do everything they're supposed to do. But when you're dealing with black people, you know what I'm saying? And not all of them, obviously. But when you're dealing with black people, when it's another black person that walks in, I tend to see that they don't give them the same customer service that they give white people, because they're afraid that white people are going to get cause them to lose their job. They're not generally afraid that black people are going to cause them to lose their job because they feel like black people are less likely to complain. I worked in many a job, so people can't tell me. I worked at a lot of customer service jobs, and they say I like going to black neighborhoods because I can pretty much do what I want to do, and they usually don't tell. They usually don't care what you do as long as you get everything working good enough, and they'll figure out how to make it look good later. I've heard people say this at every job I worked at. They say this, because they understand that you guys, especially not so much higher or middle class blacks, but lower class blacks. I guarantee you, they say I don't care about working on it because they don't care. They don't rush you. They always feel as if they're the person who has to show you respect. You know what I'm saying? And this is in that regard, if you come into their house, they don't care what you do. White people are very specific about what you do in their house. They follow you around. Black people don't. Black people, when you come into their house, if you're working, no matter you're doing pest control, you're TV, electrician, it doesn't matter. Okay, it's over there. And they leave you alone. But I'm going on a tangent. But my point is, and I have a tendency to do that, but my point is that with his statement, what he did was he's tainted now going forward. He's already tainted the reputation of the guy who got shot, but he didn't say it. He just said the facts have come out, and then he stated a fact that was a fact, but it was stated in a way that you taint your pool. You taint your listeners because they're listening, and even though I think he's gonna go behind and say that it wasn't really a big deal, but you've already tainted their reputation. So therefore, it doesn't matter. And I don't know if he did this on purpose or if he just did it because he felt like, this is the way the facts came out. But because I don't want to accuse the guy of just trying to do that. I'm just saying that it's a common journalist tactic where they insinuate things without actually saying it. And I feel like whether he meant to do it or not, that's what happened just then when he brought up that fact.
It's true that he did time. Someone had called in a report of him threatening them with a gun, and it seems like he had a gun on him at the time he was resisting arrest.
Whoa, 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 whoa. What you just did was not state a fact. What you just did was state an opinion after telling people, like I just said, that facts were coming up. You stated that it appeared he had that he had a gun on him. You weren't there. The police officers haven't even stated whether or not he had a gun yet. So how did it appear he had guns? And why was it no, you assumed he had a gun because the police said he had a gun and you choose to believe them. But if I'm a person who has dealt with police officers who have lied on people that I know, who I know for firsthand, whether you believe it or not, that I know at firsthand they did lie. Police officers do lie. So just because you took that word at face value, that does not make it a fact. It's not a fact that that it was assumed the guy had a gun. You don't know that. The police officers have not said that they assumed he had a gun. So you are jumping to conclusion and you are jumping to judgment, something that you just 5 seconds ago said you didn't do. That you just jumped to a judgment. It was not by all accounts, because there have been no accounts that have come out that have stated that he had that he looked like he had a gun or that he had a gun. Oh yeah, and secondly, they haven't even said who the person was who said he had a gun. So for me, how am I supposed to take their word for it? That person who called and said he had a gun could have been some dude that was just pissed that he was selling CDs in front of that store. You don't know what happened with that situation. You don't know that he had a gun. Just like you said, the police that this eyewitness said he had a gun. His girlfriend came on TV when you're talking about facts coming out. His girlfriend came on TV and said no, he didn't have a gun. He never had a gun. He couldn't have a gun because of his situation. He does not have a violent past. There's no belief of molestation charge does not mean that he's more likely to have a gun. There's no indication that this guy had a gun, and there's no account that said that he did have a gun. The only official account that's come out was from the girlfriend who said he didn't have a gun. So that said that who said he didn't have a gun, and the police have never stated that at the point that, it's obvious from the tape that they believed he had a gun because the guy shouted gun, but there's no accounts at when they drove up or when they walked up that they believed he had a gun on him. Because if that's the case, that's messed up, because I should be able to call in and say, look, that guy on the Louder Crowder show, he has a gun. And they should just be able to walk up to you and treat you as if you have a gun, even though they have no real indication other than someone calling that you have a gun. And I'm not saying they shouldn't be cautious, but they should not assume that just because someone said you have a gun that you have a gun.
None of that was initially reported. Let's assume that none of that is true. Let's assume that someone's waving a gun around, they get a call, they show up, there's a big man who's resisting arrest, they find a gun on him.
This is where that ability to not really have a horse in a race becomes a problem. You just said resisting arrest. Did you see the video? The video turns on and all you see is a cop in a full sprint come up and tackle the guy like Bobby Boucher. At some point, we don't really see what's happening. I don't know if he's resisting arrest. I don't hear the cops say he's resisting arrest. I see the cops trying to put his handcuff him, and I hear someone yell "gun," and he gets shot. At no point is it unequivocally shown that this guy, where there is no other it is never clear cut whether or not the guy was resisting arrest. The cops never really explained whether or not he was resisting arrest. You just saw them after they hear the word "gun" came out, they started shooting. I was one of the ones who jumped to the conclusion that he was resisting arrest. But when I saw it again, I'm more unsure about whether or not after someone presented that to me. I looked at it again, and it is true. You can't really tell if he's resisting arrest. He's just kind of, his arms are just kind of spread out. You don't see him flailing. You don't see him fighting. His arms are spread out. So they yell "gun, gun, gun," but there's no indication that the guy was ever resisting arrest. The guy, first of all, if you want to talk about the situation, if it was assumed that the guy had a gun, it is not police protocol to just run full speed at someone and tackle him. I mean, I've seen plenty of videos where they have white guys walking around with freaking AR-15s, and they walk up to him and they speak to him respect. They don't run up to him full speed and tackle him, probably because they know they'll get shot. But they don't run full speed up and tackle him. So why are you running full speed and hitting the guy who's standing in one spot? If the guy would look like he was reaching for something, that's one thing. But you see the guy, he's just standing there. They run full speed and tackle him. Now, once again, I am not saying that these cops were out there to hurt him because he was black. And that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that a lot of the context in which you're speaking from a mindset of a person who already believes the cops are always in the right, that every judgment that they made were rational, everything that they did was right. No, it wasn't. You don't know that. What all you saw, you say that, oh, he was resisting arrest. No, that's something you assumed he was doing. But you can't really tell if he was ever resisting arrest. You weren't there. So you don't know if he was resisting arrest. All you saw was his arms spread out. You didn't see him punching. You didn't see him fighting. You didn't see, no, all you saw was his arms spread out. And then someone yelled "gun" and he got shot. That's very, once again, irresponsibly
him in a scuffle, and he ends up getting shot. Now, is it possible that mistakes were made across the board? Of course. Is it possible that the police in this situation were grossly negligent and acting outside of the parameters of their job? Absolutely. Is it possible that even if all of those things were true, this could be a very unfortunate incident where a loss of life did not need to occur, but these cops aren't racists who set their clock to go shoot a black guy? Of course. Big difference here in consistency is, unlike the Black Lives Matter and leftists, I don't believe that police officers should be the only ones with guns for this very reason.
Once again, he's speaking about a whole movement that has never officially stated what their stance was on gun ownership in America. He may have had a couple interactions with a couple liberals, but saying that Black Lives Matter have put out a press statement that they are against they are against kids being, they are against gun owners, people having guns. Once again, you're speaking without context. You're speaking like he said, unlike the Black Lives Matter. No, that's not true. All of them don't. They don't have a official position on that. Their only official position is that police should that it should matter when we shouldn't be blaming the victim a lot of times when they're killed innocently. When they're innocent and they're killed without a weapon, or they're killed when they don't necessarily have to be killed. That's what their stance is. They have not made a stance on whether or not someone should be able to own a gun.
Now, if you're a violent felon, as Sterling may have been, you can't legally carry a gun. What's important here is the truth. And anyone tweeting out that Sterling was shot for being a black man selling CDs is being dishonest.
Well, what about those who are tweeting out that he's he was right, that the police officer was right in shooting him? What about the other side? Because you're condemning one side without condemning the other, assuming that everybody who believes that the cops wrongfully killed him because of CDs. No, what you did was you took you pandered to your audience by saying something that you know that they would like to hear, without ever explaining a lot of the dumb shit that they say in response to that. So yeah, there are idiots on both sides, but it's just funny to me that you only highlighted the idiots that went against what your fan base would believe.
Does someone deserve to die because they have a gun on them and they're resisting arrest? They possibly reach for a cop's gun? No, that's not the ideal scenario, but that person did not find themselves in that situation because they were selling pirated Wu-Tang CDs. Now I'm seeing some...
Good point. I haven't seen anyone making that narrative. I have yet to meet anyone who believes he was killed because he was selling pirated CDs. No one stated that. What they stated, and this is something that even I, as a person who's not a huge Black Lives Matter fan, can grasp. They are not. Their whole argument has never been that white cops go around looking for a black guy to kill. Their argument has always been that the way that they patrol, the way that they police, the way that they go about finding criminals is what leads to a lot of black people dying. These stereotypes, the way that they profile people, the way that they harass people, the way that they assume that all these black people are violent, these lead to a lot of deaths. This narrative is annoying because what you're doing, and I am not even a person who believes that. I'm not a person who thinks that. You know what I'm saying? I am not a person who believes that cops, this onslaught of media coverage on cops is fair. I do not think the left is fair in the way that they portray a lot of these stories. I don't think the right is fair in a lot of ways that they portray these stories, and that's the problem. Because when people are putting these stories out and they're doing these stories, they're not using context. You just have a whole bunch of emotion and anger. And then at the end, it leaves with people who are already mad being angrier, and the people who are not as people who are even-headed becoming angry because they're annoyed. Someone like me who does not support Black Lives Matter, I'm here defending Black Lives Matter because I feel it's unfair. Your portrayal of what they believe is unfair. Just like I'm generally arguing against the portrayal of what they say about police officers. So you've just taken someone who could possibly be an adversary, could possibly be an accomplice to your plight, and you have made them an adversary.
The same arguments here as we saw with the LAPD shooting in Skid Row. Remember that?
Just last year.
No one talks about that anymore because it turns out the guy reached for a cop's gun. An argument.
Yep, and I can pull up a bunch of instances where it happened on the other side as well, where you guys jumped to the defense of the cops, only to find out he was a vile racist, and that he did actually used to target black people. There's been cases where that has been found, where there's been documented instances of these guys calling people, using the N-word flippantly and everything else, and you guys have ignored that. So it happens on both sides. The point is that when people want a narrative to be true, they tend to ignore everything that's to the contrary of that narrative.
That's made is, well, if you need 2 police officers or if you need 6 police officers to go in and subdue someone, you're really crappy at your job. They're not at any risk. Here's the truth. Can 6 people easily subdue a perp? Yes. Can that perp just as easily kill one of those 6 people instantly? Of course. The 2 aren't mutually exclusive. There's 6 guys with a running head start. They're about to tackle me and subdue me. I have an illegal weapon. I don't want to go back to the slammer. Bang, 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 bang. Couple.
I don't totally disagree with that statement, but it's very dangerous. You can't one, you can't assume the guy has a gun. That's first. There's been no indication that he ever had a gun. There's been no report that he had a gun. It's been just people assuming that he must have had a gun, because cops don't just tackle people who don't have guns, even though they have many instances of cops doing that because they assume someone has a gun. That's first. Secondly, yeah, you're right. He can't easily kill one of them. You know, all it takes is one shot. But at the end of the day, the point they're trying to make is it seems as if they tend to do this when they say, well, we were overpowered or we were afraid, a lot when it comes to black people. They don't tend to do it a lot when it comes to white people. And the reason why is because they tend to need reasons to, they need to have reasons for why they shot black people. The majority of their reasons why they choose to shoot black people is because they say that they were afraid, because they understand that juries are generally afraid of black people as well, especially black people who look like thugs. So when they say that, they go into it. It's going to be hard pressed to find a jury who won't sympathize with them saying, I was afraid of the big bad gangbanger looking black guy. It's going to be real hard to find a regular white, which is going to be majority white, almost guaranteed, that is not going to be able to look at him and say and sympathize with that. That's why they do that. It's not about whether or not they logically have thought of every basis of why it might be probable for 6 cops to be there. No, their point of the situation is saying you already have the numbers. There was no need to kill the guy. And if you had 6 guys and you still needed to shoot him with deadly force, then you must be terrible at your job. That was their point. Not because they had not the mindset that he couldn't kill one of them. No, you killed him even though you had no indication he had a gun, and it was 6 of you and 1 of him, and he was face down, and you had his arms held down. What, he's gonna shoot you with his dick? Like, come on, man, let's be real.
Are dead. Doesn't matter how many people you have, it is just as easy to kill an officer regardless of the amount. And we see that happen all the time with routine traffic stops. Now, this kind of irrational reaction before facts come in, because it's more unreasonable for me to say, hey, let's wait for the facts to come in, leads to greater crime in areas like Baltimore and Chicago, where police are simply no longer policing the area, not only...
Yes. They're not. Yes, they are doing that. And you know who's also responsible? The freaking police. I can look at the black side and see that the way that they portrayed that Darren Wilson situation could have been construed as one-sided. You know what I'm saying? But was Darren Wilson perfect in the way that he reacted to that situation? No. And the way that the history of the Baltimore police is even worse. They have a terrible history with that community. Baltimore cops are on record saying how terrible they were at policing that and how unfair and how they used to harass and profile these people. Yes, the black people were at fault too, but so were the cops. So you can't sit around and say, oh, well, if the black people weren't so mad about the way these cops were treating them, then things would go a lot easier. No, they were already being treated bad. So what the hell is the difference? Now they're being treated bad now. So what? They were already being treated bad. That's why they don't care. It's like y'all didn't do y'all job and y'all was here anyways. All y'all did was to harass and terrorize us. So now, if you go actually talk to the black people, they feel happier now. Because they feel like the cops are more afraid to do the things they used to do. So your narrative, okay, now there's no more cops there, so now poor Baltimore. No. The crime rate probably does go up, but guess what? They probably say, I'll rather that than have these cops coming and people who we're paying tax dollars to and come in here and kill us, and then after they kill us, put our people in jail for another 30, 40 years for crimes they didn't do. I'm not saying that is the mindset of every single police officer in Baltimore. Obviously not every police officer in Baltimore is bad. What I'm trying to say is, the same thing goes to the black people. Not all those black people believe that, and not all those black people are bad. And they're not all, just because they argue against something that they felt was wrong, whether they were right or wrong. If they felt it was wrong, and they argued again, and it brought up a bigger topic about the police brutality in that area. Then in the end, it was still a discussion worth having, because even though the cop may have been in the right, which I don't know, I don't feel, I was always on the side of Darren Woodson, because they said he had never fired his weapon before. Now, do I think that everything he did was probably was on the up and up in that situation? Probably not. I'm probably sure he was rude when he talked to the guy. Probably sure he was antagonizing the guy when he did it. And white people probably can't sympathize with that because they're not used to it. When you're a black person, probably younger white kids probably are, especially college kids, because they get stereotyped as well. So the way that they're talked to, and the way that people act toward them is not always necessarily the fairest way. But anyways, my point is, you're acting as if this is a one-sided situation. Well, those black people will stop arguing about how bad they're being treated, then maybe the cops will go back to treating them bad again. It's stupid on its face.
For fear of being shot or violently assaulted, because those have been on the rise, but for fear of their family and being able to provide for them because of liability purposes. They show up, they make the wrong move, someone gets offended, they get a lawsuit, they're out of a job. It happens all the time, and the crime reflects it.
No. You know who else has a family that they want to keep safe? Who also have livings that they don't want taken because they get a criminal record? The people that are in that area. So you're saying that the cops feel as if, oh, well, I can't do my job properly because I may be scrutinized for doing my job wrong. So in that case, we shouldn't scrutinize the cops who are making our lives worse, who are causing deaths in their community, who are causing them to lose their job because of police charges and things of that nature, and who are their sons are being harassed and they can't live and function because of that. Because the cops may not want to protect them if they're scrutinized too hard about how bad they do their job. No, try to, instead of saying I'm not going to do my job because people are saying that I don't do my job well, how about striving to do your job better so that people can't say you do your job bad? Either way, like I said, I'm not trying, and it sounds as if I'm going against the police officers, which I hate, because I'm not. You know what I'm saying? What I'm doing is arguing against this guy. You know what I'm saying? But you know, I'm not saying that like I said at the beginning, I'm not saying that what he's saying doesn't have merit to it. What I'm saying is he's not using context. He's only using one side, and he's only arguing for one side, and I hate that. I hate when a person professes to be open-minded, yet you see him arguing clearly from one narrative. And it's very annoying for me to sit there and watch. That's the only reason why I made this video, because normally I wouldn't have made the video, but when you only speak from one narrative, it annoys me. From both sides, the black side and the white side. Don't speak from one narrative. Get both sides of the story and then speak from that narrative. Don't have a assumption, then go looking for facts to support the assumption you already have, and ignoring facts that don't support them.
And it's not fair to victims of actual police brutality, or to the good police officers, the ones who you believe are the only people who should have guns in your community, by conflating these issues. Let's use a couple of examples that are being circulated on Twitter. Hashtag Trayvon Martin. He was killed for wearing a hoodie. No, and mistakes were made all around. George Zimmerman, kind of an ass, not a huge fan. He was killed because he was bashing someone's head into the concrete. Now, he may have been wearing a hoodie, but that wasn't the issue the other person had with him at the time. If Not Gay Jared here is editing a video and he's also shooting my dog and I shoot him, he wasn't killed because he was editing a video. He was shot because he was shooting my dog.
That is the statement that pissed me off the most. That is very irresponsibly stated. That is one narrative from a guy who has showed himself to be a very low moral character, who has been. I mean, freaking Zimmerman lied at the freaking pre-trial. He lied about donated money so that the government wouldn't take it. This is the guy who said that happened. So you are very irresponsible, and I didn't get mad about anything else he said, but that statement really pissed me off, because you cannot make that statement. He did not get his head back. You just took a statement, of obviously a guy who's not of low moral character, and you've just taken his statement and made it fact, ignoring Trayvon Martin's, who's dead, ignoring ignoring his statements, or the statements that other people said to the contrary of what George Zimmerman said, and then call people idiots because they wouldn't take a freaking proven liar. Because these, you called them, you said that their narrative was wrong because they said he was shot for wearing a hoodie. No, he was shot for wearing a hoodie. Whether or not the end game of how it actually happened, that was encompassed in it. No, he was shot for wearing a hoodie. The guy specifically said he looked at him. He looked like he was a criminal. It was because he was wearing a hoodie. So it's kind of ironic that you are stating something that was pure. The pure argument of a person who's been convicted of perjury when he was in his pre-trial for lying about lying. He's been lying for the longest, and you took his word and said that people who took the word of the kid, I mean, who didn't even, they're not even making an assumption. They're stating a fact stated by the guy who had no incentive in saying what he said, which was he looked like a criminal. And what did he have on? A hoodie. So he did get killed because if the guy did not follow him because of the hoodie, whether you want to make the argument that Trayvon Martin stalked him, the whole person who initiated the situation was initiated because he had a hoodie on. So yes, they're more correct in their assertion than you did. Theirs is more fact than yours is. Yours is more assumption because you assume and you chose to believe a story of a person who's been caught lying on so many occasions and make your head explode. The guy is such a liar and of low moral character, even if you don't even want to call him a liar, even though that would be hard not to do. So please explain to me how you can make an assertion about that, assertion based on the thing of a liar, yet they can't take a fact. And the case was it was the way he looked that got him followed, which inevitably ended up leading to him being killed. Once again, you never put anything in context, and you speak so freaking arrogantly about a subject, speaking down to people who choose to believe something different than what you believe. And to me, that's not fair. What you have just done was take the context that you chose to believe, and you have already stated in your own words that you have little to no respect for George Zimmerman, yet you choose to believe a story that he came up with at the same time he was lying to the judge straight to her face. His story changed several times. You know what I'm saying? But you're gonna take his story. You're gonna take his. I'm not saying I wasn't there, so I'm not gonna sit up there and make an assertion about what happened, but you just did. Because of a guy who needed that story to be the truth for him to get away with murder. I'm pretty sure he has plenty of incentive to lie. That's my point. Don't speak from a narrative. Don't speak from a narrative. And call other people stupid because they speak from theirs wasn't even from a narrative. They were just stating a fact in the case.
Here's one. Hashtag Tamir Rice, holding a fake gun in a park. Again, no. Now there were mistakes all around, of course, but you're trying to paint the narrative that a kid was shot for having a fake gun simply because he was black and an officer shot him because he was racist. That's not true. This was a kid who had a gun with the tip removed. It looked like a real gun hanging around in a park where there is consistent gang violence aiming it at walkers-by. Someone had called in a complaint and police showed up while they saw someone looking around aiming a gun. Now guess what? If the police officers didn't do anything, you now have another headline of a public shooting. Why didn't someone stop him? Could they have waited? Could they have done more due diligence? Of course, but he wasn't shot for simply having a super soak.
This is why Black Lives Matter exists. This, and I was kind of in and out the last time I watched this video. I did not realize how many all the dumb shit he said. First of all, you just pointed out that Tamir Rice's the reason why he was shot was not because he was a kid with a toy gun. Yes, he was shot because he was a kid with a toy gun. That was exactly why he was shot. People thought the gun was real, yes, but he was a kid shot with a toy gun. And on top of that, the reason why you're saying that, it was in a... Did you miss the video? Or did you not even take the time to even watch it? They drove up. If they were afraid of him having a gun, why the hell would you drive up that close to him? If you were afraid he had a gun, when you stop down the street and shoot him from far away, I'm not. And like I said, it just makes me more angry that I'm having to sound like one of these people. And it's driving me crazy because the cases that he chooses to bring up are the most clear-cut cases where the police officers were wrong in the case, or the people were wrong. He brings up the freaking Trayvon Martin situation where I don't know if the police officers had, it was obvious they were wrong because the kid was dead and they did a background check and everything on him and took the words of a guy that they didn't even know and didn't even take the time to do a police background check on, and just they messed up that case. I mean, let's be real, they killed that case. But we weren't talking about police. It was George Zimmerman in that situation. It was I don't care what anybody says. You have to be a total idiot to believe that the cause of that situation wasn't George Zimmerman. I'm sorry. When he says the guy is running away from him, it's kind of an indication that the guy was afraid of him. And I don't even think, if people try to say Trayvon Martin got the best of him, I don't even think Trayvon Martin got the best of him. I really believe that they were just fighting. And that immediately the guy probably looked like he was gonna fight him. And I guarantee you what probably happened was they probably got in a fight. A guy in the fight, he probably punched him really hard. The guy he's crazy Zimmerman is crazy as hell. You see, he has a temper problem. When he's shooting at his wife's father, beating his wife, he has a temper problem. So what probably happened was Trayvon Martin probably didn't even beat him up. Trayvon Martin probably punched him good one time, and he's such a freaking psychopath that when Trayvon Martin shot him, he probably punched him hard enough. He probably just pulled out his gun and shot the kid. Because he's a freaking psychopath. And this is the guy that you choose. This is the example you choose to bring up. The second Tamir Rice case, it's clear that these cops, whether or not they had reason to believe he had a gun or not, did not do what they were supposed to do in that case. I guarantee you, and you can say it had nothing to do with race all you freaking want. I guarantee you, if that was a white kid, they would not have done that. Not because they're racist, but because they understood the backlash would have been worse. But because of people like you, they do it because they understand that they're going to inevitably, without question, get white people to say that they were right in what they did. Even though, like I said, it goes against thinking to believe that if you believed he had a gun, why you would drive right up to him. If you thought he had a freaking gun and he was willing to shoot people, why would you drive right up on the sidewalk? They didn't even get out of the car. They shot the guy from the freaking car. That wasn't a freaking police. That wasn't an investigation. That was a freaking. Why did they get down the street and use it that way? You know how freaking scary that is for someone to just be able to call and say, hey, he has a gun. Just like that kid in Walmart. Just for someone to call and just say you have a freaking gun, and then these cops come down and shoot you because they understand idiot people are going to pop up and say, well, they said he had a gun. Well, let's see how good you feel when they pop your ass because someone said you have a gun. That to me is ridiculous. The Tamir Rice case was a stupid ass case to bring up and say that, oh, because he had the tip of his gun off, that somehow it meant that he was let's say he did have a real freaking gun. You are a police officer. You are not the guy walking down the street. You're a police officer. You understand that there are going to sometimes be people with guns that you can't just shoot. The protocol is not because someone has a gun, you have a right to just execute them with no investigation. It has been documented publicly. I think it was somewhere between 2 and 4 seconds. They didn't give the kid a chance to tell them that it was a fake gun. And people keep saying, well, they had to, because what if he would have shot them? Yes, I get that. But that is the job you signed on for. You understood when you signed up that there may be a situation where someone has a gun. It does not mean, okay, now I get to kill you. Yeah, if that's your case, call the people and say, look, I know what I'm supposed to do, but this kid has a gun. I'm not going to risk my life. Bye. Don't go show up to the thing, kill the kid, and then turn around and say, I was afraid he had a gun. Could you imagine how many people would be dead if all you had to do was pop on the phone and say, hey, Louder Crowder has a gun. Okay. Bum, bum, bum. Are you serious with that statement? Ask.
And if you're going to use this to try and, again, conflate it with open carry, just at least understand the gun laws because you're an idiot. Pulling a gun out and aiming it at people in a park is not open carry. That's a crime. It's a crime whether you're white or black. It's a crime.
First off, it is open carry for whether you're black or whatever. And the point that needs to be made is that kid was reported to be pointing the gun at other people. When you saw the video, he was not pointing the gun at anybody. He was walking in a circle. He didn't point the gun at anyone. So if you're supposed to be doing your job, why not watch the kid for a couple minutes and observe the situation? See, if they would have waited, he would have shot someone else. Wait, so your assertion at all times, you see these freaking guys walking down the street with NRA and freaking all these gun things. So if I'm a guy, I should be able to drive by all these NRA meetings and say, hey, look, there are people out here shooting or pointing guns at people, and the cops should just drive up and just fucking nuke the fucking place because there are a whole bunch of people with guns. No, you idiot, that doesn't make sense. You have to do your job. You have to investigate. You have to figure out whether or not, well, if we didn't nuke the hell out of the place, then they would have shot up a whole bunch of people, and then we would have had a problem there. Especially if the NRA did it. No. When you're having a gun rally, and they say that, and people want to say that people at the gun rally are pointing guns, you don't get to go in there and nuke the freaking gun rally. No, you have to do your job. You have to say, okay, let's investigate the situation. He looks like he's a young kid. And they told me, they couldn't tell he was young. I am 32 years old. I yet to find a child that I couldn't tell was a child. Especially not a 12-year-old. So, I'm not going to speak for them. Maybe they did. I don't know. My point in the situation is you have just said that the gun carry laws did not apply to Tamir Rice because he was pointing his gun at people. No, there were reports that he was pointing guns at people. There was no observation of him ever pointing guns at people. And people can easily see a kid walking around with something they perceive to be a gun and assume that he's pointing it at them. Just because because I've heard people say, when people just turn and look at them, they say, don't point that at me. They're not actually pointing it at them. They're just walking in circles, and sometimes when they walk in circles, the gun, they're just being careless. This does not mean they're pointing it at people planning to shoot them. But that, once again, there's an investigation when you figure all this out. But when you drive up and shoot a guy in 2 to 4 seconds, there's not much of an investigation that was had at that moment. Yes, it was on the freaking people. The dispatcher should have told them, hey, there have been some reports that the gun is fake. But once again, that's an investigation that the police officers should have had before they went there. Hey, when they said he had a gun, has there been an indication that this kid, that this gun is real or fake or what? But there was no investigation on it whatsoever. Let's see if we can find his mom. Let's see if anybody knows the kid. Oh, but someone gets shot, then who's to blame? Well, let's start nuke. If people really, this is a point, since we're listening to this proud gun owner, right? Next time you see an NRA meeting and you want to just wipe the whole freaking NRA meeting out, just call and say that they were pointing guns at people. And let them come and just start spraying the whole freaking place up. Right? Eye for an eye, right? That's so stupid. It's like, no, you do not, just because of the mindset that something may happen doesn't mean that you lose your rights as a citizen. Just because someone calls and says you did a crime doesn't mean you did it.
Mike Brown, hands up, don't shoot. His hands weren't up and he was assaulting a police officer. When that happens, sometimes you shoot.
I realize that this video it was actually taken down. It's actually on one of my rebuttals where they actually took it down because of hate speech. Dude, and I know you're probably annoyed that they took it down, and your watchers or people who watch it are probably annoyed that they took it down. But the truth of the matter is, dude, they didn't take it down because they don't like to hear truth. They took it down because you're a fucking idiot. They took it down because you just I don't know what happened with the Mike Brown situation, but I damn sure not gonna take the story of the freaking defendant as the truth, the unquestionable truth, as you just did. He didn't have his hands up. Says who? There are many witnesses who said he had his hands up. There were white witnesses, there were black witnesses, and yes, there were witnesses who said that he was walking towards the guy. There were witnesses on both sides. But you choose to ignore all the witnesses that said that he had his hands up, and ignore the witnesses that said that the police provoked the situation. And you accept it. Now, I am not. This is a good case to bring up if you're going to say that they should not stop making him out to be a martyr, because the guy has a history. You have a freaking. He was freaking strong-armed, a freaking store owner like 10 minutes earlier. So, yes. That is, but your way of arguing our argument, you are a very, like I said, when I first watched it, you seemed like you were an intelligent person, because I probably wasn't really paying attention to what you were saying. But now that I listen to you, you are very short-sighted. You are very mind-numbingly stupid when you state things, because you have an arrogance of stating things as fact. They're not actual facts. They're just interpretations or a very selective viewing, selective narrative of what the facts are. And then you'll say, well, the jury believed my story. Yeah, because 9 out of 10 of them probably were just like you were. But like I said, I am not. Like I said, I'm not on the mic, whatever his name was. I don't know what happened in that situation. And I'm damn sure not gonna say the cop was totally wrong and what happened, because I wasn't there. But I'm also not going to preach a freaking narrative like it's fact when I have no idea if it's fact or not. No, why are you saying it as if you know it's a fact? Well, when people do this, they tend to get shot. Well, what happens when they don't do that? Do they still tend to get shot? Because that's a narrative that didn't happen also. So the mindset and why, like I said, they didn't take your video down because it's hate, because they don't like to hear the truth. They took it down because you are an idiot. They took it down because you don't know what you're talking about. And nothing that it's funny that you say facts are racist, yet I have yet to come across an actual fact since you started talking. Everything that you've said from the point that this video has started has all been interpretive narratives that you have taken from one side and totally ignored. You didn't even speak. You would just say, and I know that he would just summarize everything to the contrary of what the people did. He would summarize it by saying, well, there were things that could have been done right on both sides. Well, why are you explaining the things that were done right on the side that you want, and just summarizing the things that were wrong about the other on the other side? That's what makes it hate. That's what makes people see your facts as racist, because you only state the facts that prove a narrative that you want them to prove, and you ignore facts that support what the other people are saying. And it's very dangerous to do that, especially if you're going to characterize the other people as being irrational. Yes, they're irrational if you refuse to take any freaking fact that they put forward. And take every fact without analyzing it. You take every fact from the other side, because it supports the narrative that you want. And that's why I get annoyed. It's the same reason why I argue with the Black Lives Matter people, and it's the same reason why I argue with the stupid feminist people. It's because of stuff like this. Stop stating narratives from one side and then acting like other people are stupid because they won't accept your narrative when you have proven that you won't accept theirs. It's stupid. It's counterproductive for both sides. And you are the exact antithesis of Black Lives Matter. The same idiots that sit around and say that all cops are bad and that they should start the police, all this crap are the other side of the idiocy. But you are the other side of the idiocy who refuses to think that any cop, that all cops are not normal human beings who have emotion, who do stupid things, who sometimes could have biases and prejudice. They're normal people. They go to a freaking 3-month academy, then get out and become police officers. They're not sworn. They're not coming out from birth being guided to be police officers. They're just regular people with regular thoughts, regular feelings. They just happen to be police officers. They chose that career path. They're not infallible. And if you're going to take that narrative, then please explain to me why you don't. If you're trying to get other people to accept your narrative, why are you ignoring theirs? When you do that, you end discussion immediately, and it turns into arguing about whose narrative should be taken while both sides are ignoring the other narrative.
Again, remember, people were more outraged by me saying, let's just wait for facts before rushing to judgment, because they want to paint this as absolutely cut and dry, white officers shooting black kids just because they're black kids, and we've all had a secret racist meeting behind their back, and only black people get shot.
Nobody's made that narrative. Nobody's made that narrative. Nobody has made the narrative that nothing that you just said was actually that. I'm getting so frustrated I can't even think straight. This guy is so freaking stupid. Nobody said anything about white people having police having a meeting behind their backs. You don't have to have a meeting about something that is a universal truth, which is that when you think about violence, when you think about bad people, criminals, you have a certain picture in your mind. When they profile, it's been stated for years that they profile black men. They do this. So, oh my gosh, it is so freaking annoying, because the same thing he's saying that they only, let's wait for facts. No, you're not. You're a fucking liar. You're not waiting for facts to come out. You're waiting for some shit you can use, as you've already proven, some shit that could come out. It ain't gotta be good shit. Just something to the contrary of what they said, so that you can then speak. You already have your fucking mind made up. You're just waiting on them to come and give you some shit to say later on. And I hate that I'm cursing, but I'm so mad that I'm starting to boil over, and I hate that. Because then I start to get annoyed, and I hate cursing, but I just get so annoyed by the situation that it just comes out. And when it comes out fast and hard. You know what I'm saying? And I don't get to filter myself, because I'm not a cursor. I don't like cursing. But when I get angry about things, it comes to the surface. You know what I'm saying? And when I'm sitting there listening to somebody that is spinning a narrative, yet they're so arrogant. They're so arrogant and so freaking, I've never seen, the most closed-minded people are, and I guess it would have to be a prerequisite, right? You would have to be that arrogant to be that closed-minded. And I'm starting to understand that. That's a reason why these people are the way that they are. Their arrogance is what leads them to being that way. They think that they go to the right places. Everybody else is stupid. So every fact that they get doesn't have to be filtered, because they know they go to the right places to get the right facts. They trust the right places. They look at the right places. They never stop to think that the filter that they're using may be tainted. And it may be cutting off actual open-mindedness. Same way you're saying that they're pushing this narrative that all cops just go around killing. You're pushing the narrative that no cops go around shooting people for no reason. When you have cops on record saying they actually do that. You have cops on record saying that they used to joyride looking for people to, after some random person would kill a cop, they would walk around looking for criminals to beat up because they were mad that the cop got killed. This has happened. It's on record. So, You push a narrative, they push a narrative. But yours is fact. No, it's not. It's your narrative, your interpretation of facts, and the facts you choose to accept. They're not you're not some great filter of what's fact and what's opinion. You just choose to take facts that support your narrative. And you think people are stupid when they don't take facts that support your narrative.
Except far more white people in the United States are killed by police. Now, I know what you're saying. Yes, but blacks only represent a small percent of the population, so they are disproportionately killed by police. Well, here's the problem with that. When you actually take into account police interactions or people being arrested, so an actual interaction with a police officer, white people are more likely on an individual basis to be shot by police than black people. All of these references are at louderwithkreider.com. Click the link in the description and tell me if you think I'm wrong.
Once again, choosing to take facts that support your narrative and ignoring facts that don't. First thing you stated was that there are more white people killed. The discussion is not about police officers killing people. People understand that there are reasons for police to kill people sometimes. The narrative, if you actually took the time to actually listen to it, which I am 100% sure that your dumb ass never did. You never went to actually understand what the other people's side of the argument was. You just got angry that someone was challenging your narrative. But the truth of the matter is, your dumb ass comment that you just made was made from a mindset of somebody who just doesn't get it. It's not about people killing people because cops killing people. It's about cops killing unarmed people. And in that statistic, blacks far outnumber whites. That means killed without a weapon, killed unarmed. Blacks far, even though they're a smaller part of the population, they far exceed and go outside. The numbers aren't even close. There are a lot of black people who are killed who need to be killed by police officers. There are a lot of white people who are killed who need to be killed by police officers. Spanish, Asian, Middle Eastern, whatever you want to say. But at the end of the day, blacks are disproportionately killed unarmed when they have been that's why this problem exists. When you bring up bullshit statistics that don't that tell the narrative that you want to tell. Oh, whites are killed more by whites, and then he says this dumbass comment that can't be factual. And he's like, well, when you actually consider arrest, black people are arrested more often. Yes, idiot, because there are more police yes, but that does not discount their interactions with police officers. Those are just interactions that lead to arrest. Just because black people are arrested more than white people does not mean that they have more interactions with cops than white people do. What it means is when you're getting pulled over on the side of the road, idiot, that's an interaction with a cop. And there are black people are a small population. You are not going to tell me that the reason why these people...
An unknown is calling you.
You are not going to tell me that the reason...
Is calling you. An unknown is calling you.
Excuse me. You are not going to tell me that the reason why that the white people who are pulled over regularly are somehow not pulled over because they that blacks in America, a small part of the population, then you add ones who actually have cars, you probably slim that population down even more, because a good majority of the black people are children who probably can't even drive. So you drop that population down more, and then you try to tell me they have more interaction during traffic stops or just walking down the street than a lot of these places. I mean, a lot of these other white people, which make up a large part of the American population. That's BS. They have a lot of interactions with police officers. So yeah, you're taking a large part of the population and you're comparing it to a small part of the population and saying, look, it's more. And I guarantee you the same idiot uses that, will flip it around and say, well, you know there are more blacks and when you say, you know there's more whites on welfare, right? Well, whites are a bigger part of the population. But yeah, but they're not, their population of being of low income is around the same as blacks. So it doesn't really fit. You know what I'm saying? When you actually consider the narrative, they love to point out certain things that fit their narrative, and then they ignore. When you actually break it down, yeah, there are about as many poor white people as poor black people. So when you're going against it, when you're actually arguing population per population, you're still making the same argument that the poor white people are more likely to go and get government assistance than black people, because the population is around the same when you talk about the lower class. But I said people accept narratives that fit that fit them. They ignore narratives that don't fit what they want to be said. And like I said, it's very annoying that you would use a statistic like that in a way that you used it. And in that case, people could make the assumption that your facts are racist.
Not only that, despite the mass shooting evil white guy myth you get from the media, white people are much more likely, disproportionately so, to be targeted for crime by black Americans. So they're...
Once again, this idiot outdoes himself. What the hell does targeted by crime mean? What the hell does that even mean? What do you mean? Because what you insinuate is that black people are more likely to hurt or kill. But then you turn to hurt and kill white people. But you know you can't use that narrative, because white people the statistics way outweigh the fact that white people are more likely to be killed by other white people. So you can't say that. So he says, well, commit crimes. Yeah, because you consider that majority of these places where you go into, businesses are owned by white people. So when you use the word crime, it's very misleading, because black people go into places and steal. Whenever they steal, they generally are stealing from white people. When they sell drugs, there's a large percentage of them probably selling to white people. So yeah, that's a very vague term to say they are far more likely to commit a crime against white people. But that's very selective in the way. If you notice, he's very selective in the way that he said it. He tried to give the impression that they are far, because he started the discussion talking about whether or not white people are more likely to be killed by cops, and then he slowly, sneakily, from a sneak stamp, covertly brought it around to the narrative that, blacks are more likely to be blacks are more likely to commit a crime against white people. What the hell does that even... See, but I'm smart. I listen. I don't let people just talk bullshit to me. I'm listening to them. What the hell does that even mean? Why did you go find a statistic that freaking obscure so that you can find a way to make it seem as if white people should be afraid of black people more than black people should be afraid of police? You're a fucking idiot. And that's why I look at it, and I at first when he did it with the whole thing, with the molestation thing, I thought maybe he wasn't doing it on purpose. There's no way in hell he didn't just do that on purpose. Like I said, there's no way he did not just do what he just did on purpose. That was too deliberate. And the way that he schemed it to crimes and committed against. What the hell does that even mean? Crimes committed against. Because you know, when you break down to violent crime, if you take out murder, violent crime, white people way outweigh black people in violent crime in general. Black people just outweigh white people in murder. Because black people generally shoot people. White people tend to kill people in other ways. So when you talk or not as efficient, but they will like I said, when you look at go look at statistics. Violent crimes, white people are higher or in correlation to their population. But anyways, like I just said, the point I'm trying to say is, please don't listen to statistics just because someone states their facts. And just because the statistic can be factual does not mean a statistic can't be skewed and misrepresented. Yes, facts can be racist if they are used in a irresponsible and with a agenda behind them. And this idiot obviously has an agenda behind it. Because at the end of the day, what people need to understand is that what ends up happening when you say committed crime against, it's a lot of things that are not being considered. Because we're having a discussion about murder and you're talking about crime. One doesn't have anything to do with the other, but you couldn't find a statistic that supported black people killing other white people or black people violently hurting other white people. No, you had to find crime because you understood that would do. Idiots will listen to it and they'll say, and I guarantee you, idiot will walk out of there, watch this video, walk out there and tell somebody, you know, black people are more likely to kill white people than white people are, than police are to kill black people. Why aren't we protesting? Because that's very irresponsible journalism. Because you did not transition by us understanding. We're not talking about killing anymore. We're just talking about crime. You weren't specific about that. You just said what fits your narrative and then left it up to people to decipher the difference in what the discussion was. You're talking about people killing people. And you're talking about another thing about people committing crimes on other people.
Targeted for crime more, and they get shot by the cops more. Everything you say is wrong. Hey, here's a list of people who've been shot by the police just in 2016. Are you unfamiliar with a lot of those names? It's because they're white people.
It's funny because there have been a lot of black killings as well that have not been reported on. Surprising enough, right? Because they're white people. No, there have been a lot of black killings, slayings, shootings that were justified that the black community didn't get up a riot, get mad about. And guess who else didn't report on it, jackass? You. So if they were, it is not Black Lives Matter's fault because white people are being unjustly killed and other white people aren't speaking up on it. If those white people want to speak up on it and come to the light and talk about it, then that's fine. But Black Lives Matter are saying that black people are disproportionately killed unfairly. Not killed. They're saying they were killed when they were unarmed. That is the problem. And after they killed, when white people are killed unjustly, there is justice. When black people are killed, a lot of times white jurors like you will not be able to see things fair. They look at things as us versus them and they're going to say, I'm sticking with my own. That is why Black Lives Matter exists. Not to perpetuate the idea that we need to go around killing cops. Not to say all white people are racist. Not to say it's okay that other thing happen other places. No, this is a specific movement that is catered towards one agenda. I do not agree with them on a lot of things that they argue with. Just like I don't agree with Al Sharpton. Just like I don't agree with Jesse Jackson. Just like I don't agree with Farrakhan. I am not one of these people. But I hate them as much as I hate you. Because people like you are the ones that give people like them longer reach. Because you piss off black people to the point that they start saying this fucking idiot. And this is how all white people think. And all white people don't think like this idiot. This is just how he thinks. And a large population, just like there's a large population that think like Farrakhan and all those idiots think. They are the lunatic fringe. And we're forced as individuals to have to deal with these idiots on a daily basis. I would say probably 75% of the population is normal, and then about 10% of the population are littered with these idiots on each side who think that they're so much smarter than everybody else when they're really just idiots who have an agenda, who care about a bunch of shit that they should probably not care about because it makes them feel important. Like, dude, like I said, at the end of the day, yes, There were a lot of white people killed, and I'm one of the specific people who say they don't give much attention to black situation. You know why they don't give them as much attention to white people shooting black people? I mean, white people being killed by cops, because the stories are not polarizing. You don't hear white people going to those videos arguing. Whenever you have so guess what? They don't get as many views. They don't get as many well, basically they don't get as many viewers. People just don't care. Because they're not there to argue. The reason why these stories with black people getting killed get more views is because people like you. The reason why that story gets more coverage is because people like you. They realize when they talk about these things, they're polarizing, which brings more people to the stories. They make people read more columns, which make people watch more videos, so that they can get more and more narratives, so they can understand how the population really feels about it. That's why they're bigger. Because idiots argue things that shouldn't be argued on both sides. When the white guy gets killed, there's no white people saying that he probably had it coming. And there's no black people saying the cops were racist. So of course those stories don't get as much coverage. But it has nothing to do with the media being racist against white people. Are you fucking idiot?
Here's the point. Are there some bad cops? Sure. Are there some tragedies that could have been avoided if people were more properly trained? Absolutely, and there's a lot that we can do to fix it. But just as you don't want black people generalized unfairly, it's not right to tar and feather all police officers because of some incidents. And by the way, a lot of the incidences that you have held out have been wrong, have been verifiably false, have disproved your premise.
To who, you dumbass? To you? You just said you took fucking George Zimmerman's story, hook, line, and sinker. You took the cop who killed the Michael McDonald guy, even though he's the defendant and is supposed to lie to protect his own butt. Ignored the witnesses who said that his hands were up. The Tamir Rice case, you said that the cops that he was pointing a gun at people. When you weren't there, you don't know what happened, but yet you have said they've all been proven wrong on their face. To you! Because it doesn't take much to convince you. All they have to do is give one argument to the contrary and you say, yep, that's what happened. Because that's what you think. They didn't disprove anything. I can't think of one case where it's disproven. None of them. All of them at best were left murky, where you don't really know what happened. Because you can't really trust what the officer said, and the other person who was there is dead. So at the end, you never know what actually happened. And you can't go by the jury, because the jury generally they generally are like you. Majority of the cases where it's brought to trial, the prosecutor doesn't even want to prosecute them. So the mindset behind the anger, you need to understand it. And while you continue to get Black Lives Matter, who pisses you off, who pisses me off, you'll continue to get people like Farrakhan, who piss you off, who piss me off. You'll continue to get people like Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton that piss you off, that piss me off. And you know why? It's because you are so damn stubborn. You continually preach this narrative that somehow white people are more at danger from cops, when you know that's a fucking lie. You perpetuate the stereotype that black people are like feminists who are arguing over stuff that just really isn't that big of a deal. No, you idiot. They're not like feminists arguing over people saying hi to them when they don't want it. They're arguing about getting slammed on their fucking head by police officers for jaywalking. They're arguing like, for me, when you have 6 or 7 people, family members who are, not family, but friends, who have 4 or 5 that have been killed by police officers. This is not the feminist thing. Now I understand that white men get blamed for so much that they start to get this defense mechanism that makes them try to defend themselves at times when sometimes it's just undefensible. And I understand that. They're attacked by everybody as the problem when they're just regular fucking people. People point at them and say, you're the reason why this. And you as a white person, like, I'm just a regular dude. I ain't do shit. I ain't got nothing to do with why you're oppressed. But I understand that, and I get it. But that doesn't mean that you have to open your mouth. Just like when black people who feel by putting down other black people, they're somehow making things better. No, you're not. Just because you put down, white people have a tendency to defend shit that they do that are wrong, and so do black people. You know what I'm saying? Black people will defend rappers walking around saying they're violent, and that I'm violent, I kill people, my hood is freaking, you can't walk past my hood and you'll get killed. Then when the police are shooting these people because they believe these people, you turn around and say, look, don't blame us. And white people are sitting around saying, well, I don't understand why black people are so mad. Bang, 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 bang. Shut up, you effing nigger. They say it. Do you get the difference? You get why there's so much animosity on both sides? Because black people are tired of being put in a position where they are constantly seen as the bad guy, and constantly you have two people who feel the same way. White people are socially seen as the bad guys. Black people are physically seen as the bad guys, or culturally seen as the bad guys. So if you have two people who are vehemently arguing their sides and nobody's listening because they're both so staunch in their defense of their own, that they're not realizing defending your own is what's causing the rift. Put your cards on the table. I'm messed up, you're messed up. We're both messed up. Let's get past this stupidity and start to say, let's start to just work on the merit. Let's work on each case individualistically and find the solution. Let's not whitewash an entire situation based on anger and emotion. We're not women. You know what I'm saying? That's one thing that men have. We can take emotion out of things. But the problem is we're so feminized as a country now that you can't even take emotion out of it anymore, because men are just as emotional as women are. And once again, I have not made an assertion throughout this entire video, because my point of this video is not to say that one thing is another thing. The point I'm trying to say is facts can be construed as being racist when they're used by someone with a racist mentality. Assumptions can be made that are unfair assumptions based on statistics that don't tell the whole story. That's all I'm trying to say in this video. I'm not trying to say that this side is right. I'm not trying to say that side is right. I am simply saying that you're stating one side without giving credence to the other side, and to me that's not fair. That's wrong. You're never going to go get anywhere doing that. But anyways, I just want to end it there. He just summarized the rest, if you were wondering. But his assertion was that that when you make that when you start to make it harder for police to police, they don't police. And why are they getting paid? That's not a good argument. But regardless, I just wanted to give some of the other side to a lot of these arguments that who are unfairly deemed racist. But anyways, my point is that blacks, that we as blacks and whites needs to open our minds up and start paying attention to each other more, and start to be more sympathetic to what the other person's going through. And at the end of the day, my whole point is that pretty much my point is listen to both sides. Don't go to one side to get your story. Get them from both sides, and then from both sides get a consensus on what's right and what's wrong. But anyways, that was my rebuttal to this video. Thank you. Please, thank you for listening. If you listen, please like, subscribe. It's very important. I'm trying to get my subscribe up. I just started this channel, so please like, subscribe. Let me know what you think. And I may be, like I said, I'm sitting there speaking. You know, a couple times in the video I got emotional. So maybe some certain things people can tell me about it, and I'm willing to listen. I'm not arrogant. You know what I'm saying? It's possible I said some things that were inaccurate. You know, because I was getting pretty annoyed in that. So hopefully I was fair enough though, and hopefully we can have a fair discussion in the comments below. But please like, subscribe, let me know what you think. Peace.